Mhm. Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm Junor Francis. This series celebrates ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scenes in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day behind-the-sceners. Now, whether you watch us on TV or YouTube or listen to us on podcasts, we really and truly want to thank you abundantly. Our guest today is John Roy, a true staple of the San Diego ska and rocksteady and early reggae and all reggae scene. A little bit about John. He's a musician, singer, producer, engineer. The man wears multiple hats and a band leader for the likes of veteran group Unsteady, and more recently, the popular all-star collective known as Smoke and Mirrors, sound system. John, welcome. Good to have you along. Are you with us in spirit and mind, body and soul?
I'm engaged. We are here. Let's do this thing.
Yes. So how is everything going with you?
Good, busy, much more busy than it was 2 years ago at this time.
2 years ago. So
Yeah.
that's you're taking us back to 2020 or 20?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Mhm. Right. I guess we're going to get into some of the things that you've been doing of late.
Yes, sir.
So let's start with when you first discovered ska and reggae, or was it one before the other, or vice versa? Did you discover ska and then reggae, or you discover reggae then ska?
I actually discovered two-tone and reggae at about the same time. Makeda Dread here in San Diego was on 91X, and I believe their station started in 82, I think, or 83. And I heard Reggae Makossa on every Sunday night on 91X, and I was fascinated. It sounded fantastic to me. Like, what is this? This is so much better than everything else on the radio. Why do I only have to listen to this for 3 hours on a Sunday night? So I had to find out where I could find that. Then secondly, almost at the same time, my sister Sabrina, who's 7 years older than me, she was into all kinds of music, and she brought home Dance Craze on vinyl, and it was the compilation CD of all the two-tone bands, and I had no idea what it was, but it sounded like everything I wanted to hear. And so I had to go with her. She drove me along to all the record stores in San Diego County to find who are these bands? Who are these two-tone bands? What is this reggae music? And I had to then I realized this is all related. This is fantastic. There was no internet, so I had to read liner notes and find out that, there's a P Buster on so many of these songs. There's a Pioneers on who are these bands? And why are so many of these songs sound similar to me in many ways? So that got me into it from two-tone into the original, the foundations.
And about 1 year was that? What year?
82, 83. Yeah.
Oh, right. So that was essentially your baptism into this music.
Yes, yeah.
So ska came afterwards because two-tone ska?
No, I think two-tone is the English resurgence of ska, or bringing what the folks in the UK had taken from Jamaica or picked up from the Jamaican artists that moved to the UK in the 60s.
So after your baptism, what actually drew you to Jamaican music or Jamaican influenced music? Were you a musician at that time, 82?
Yes, I've been a saxophonist. I've owned a saxophone since I was 8 years old, so 42 years.
It probably was taller than you.
Oh yeah. I mean, immediately anything with a saxophone in it, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So I was listening to jazz. My middle school teacher, Furman Whiteside, the band director, he was a trombonist and bass player for Quincy Jones. So he just gave me all of his influences. He wanted all the kids to hear what he was into and what he'd played. And so the jazz, rhythm and blues, funk, all the stuff he was doing, I was all about it. So that, together with hearing two-tone and hearing Reggae Makossa, I was like, yes, all of this, all the time. This is me.
So you essentially picked up instrument at about 8 and you haven't placed it down.
Yeah, I didn't get, in my opinion, serious about it till I was 12
Mhm.
because there was not a good music program necessarily. But once I had him as my band director at 13, definitely
Right.
that was it for me.
Are your parents musicians?
No, my father was a missile launching systems designer for the Navy. However, he was a pipe organ tuner before I was born,
Mhm.
and since he was an engineer, he also installed PA systems in churches. When in the 70s when they started to get more electrified. So I would go with him on Sundays after church or on Saturdays when there was no service, and I was really small at one time. So
No
he
kidding.
put me in the crawl space, and say, "Here, kid, put these wires into the speaker." And but he'd let me tag along,
Mhm.
and he was into music as well, just different kinds of music.
So if he's around, I can arrest him for child labor.
Oh no, he's passed now, and that was a different time. I got a lot out of it, honestly. It was
Of course, it's a joke, man. We're just
I
sensitive.
didn't- And then my mother, she's a retired Latin American and American history professor.
Mhm.
She's also, my father was from Lafayette, Louisiana. My mother's from Moselle, Mississippi. So a lot of country Zydeco influences,
Yes.
and my mother also was into the Beatles, so I got to hear her Beatles records too.
Mhm. So where you grew up?
Grew up San Diego, pretty
Right. So
pretty
they
much all
moved
San
from
Diego. Yeah,
Louisiana
back
and
and forth to on summers going to Mississippi and Louisiana, and then my mother moved to central Mexico. So a few years I would go every summer to Parral in Chihuahua.
Mhm. So your mom is still alive?
Yes, she just
Uh-huh.
turned 80 April 18th.
Yeah, we have happy birthday and happy belated Mother's Day to her. I'm quite sure you
Oh
already
yeah,
wished
she
her.
got her flowers.
Yeah,
Couldn't miss
yes,
that.
indeed. So back to hometown, San Diego. Can you describe the San Diego ska scene for us, early 80s?
I can describe, say, 85 plus or 86 plus.
Well, that's still good.
There were definitely folks doing it before me. Odd Numbers, Donkey Show was already happening.
Mm.
First band I was in was a soul band, Big Express. So we were doing 60 soul, Motown, Stax, Philly stuff. And we would play shows, all the mod shows with bands like Manual Scan and the Trebles, the Key, the Question, and Donkey Show. But Donkey Show was like, these guys are doing this thing that reminds me of all the two-tone I was listening to, and all of the founders that I was listening to. Like this is as close to actual Jamaican music as I'd seen live so far, until I got to see the Scottalites, which was
Right.
a whole different animal.
When you first saw Scatterlights, what year was it? An
Oh,
intelligent guess.
I think it was 88. Oh gosh, either 88 or 89. I was playing in Gangbusters, and we opened for Scottalites and Bad Manners at the Price
Wow.
Center Ballroom at UCSD. And I'd already listened to, I listened to them over and over and over again on their recordings, but to see the originators, and so many of them were still with us,
Yes, man. Jackie me too, I
it
think.
was like you don't see my hands, but I have goosebumps on my arms thinking about it. The like Lloyd and Lloyd, oh, there is no better rhythm section, and they are the originators of it. And they're electric. They were electric. There's nobody that does it like that.
Pretty much in any genre of music.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
has to be. I mean, everything you listen to now, it's it's if it's Jamaican influenced, that's it.
And
That's
if it's dance music, so to speak, on the offbeat, it's
yes.
really Scatterlights. Yes, sir.
In my
Wow.
opinion, just my opinion.
Oh yeah, and that's all. And no one can, assassinate you for that. That's the wrong place. So how important of a band Donkey Show is to the San Diego scene, as far as you can remember?
I think hugely important because they were trying to to put out that to get that vibe that that they were getting. That's the same thing I was feeling, and they were doing something original within the context of San Diego. I think,
Mhm.
because I would love to have seen 10 other bands like them, but I was just happy to see somebody doing this thing that I'd heard on a recording, but as people and within, 2 mile radius of me.
Yes. And what LA or OC bands you saw that came through during that era?
Um, well,
Because I'm quite sure some of the bands from LA and
yeah,
OC did tour
we went up
San Diego.
with Big Express to play shows at Fender Ballroom in Long Beach, and that was just everything. Um,
Mhm.
we saw Untouchables, obviously.
Mhm.
That was Untouchables were on top for a long time, and we got to see them and open for them with Gangbusters in Tijuana. And so Tijuana was kind of the place when I was in Gangbusters to play with and see all the bands. Fishbone was, still is one of my favorite bands and one of the top bands in terms of musicality.
So
Um,
TJ was happening simultaneously
oh,
with SD at the same time.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
Iguanas in Tijuana was, it's legendary. And to me also, Fender Ballroom to me in Long Beach was like, that was my baptism into this is what a scene is. San Diego had a scene, it had a few hundred people, but to see what was going on at Fender's, it was a true scene. And the Untouchables, the Jaywalkers, early, no doubt, like all of the bands within that were really, they made something happen that was very special.
mhm. Interesting. So we talk about local bands. How about international bands that performed in San Diego? You know,
Satellites,
satellites.
Toasters, Bad Manners. For me, the Toasters, it felt like they were from another country because they were from New York. Uh, um, yeah, seeing Bad Manners was a big deal for us in Tijuana and at and with Scottalites in UCSD in La Jolla.
So
Other
when some of these bands pass through, like you mentioned, Bad Manners, they playing only SD and not TJ? Or
Oh
maybe
no,
they're both playing.
Bad Manners did Iguanas in Tijuana, and it was crazy too. Every show in Tijuana was legendary.
So
It's
Tijuana is still happening.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't
Not
know if
as much
they're
as
doing it
perhaps San
now,
Diego, right?
yeah,
Right.
it
Mm.
was definitely legendary at the time for me.
Right. Interesting, sir. So when and how was Unsteady formed and what year?
Oh, in 1992, yeah, I'd done Gangbusters and then done Colorblind, and then straight from I did Spy Kids also in 1990.
And for the record, those are bands that you were part of.
Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
and in 92, um, I joined a band and oh gosh, if I could, I think their name was Inspector, and I'm like, there's too many inspectors in this world, so we have to have a different name. And I came up with Unsteady. We kind of had a vote, and I kind of pushed it on everybody because I'm a bully. But
Authoritarian with lots of power.
a benevolent dictator, if you will. Um,
So how many bands, so for the record, how many bands so far? Let me write. So
oh,
up to that
so
point, up to Unsteady.
had I been in?
Eh,
Gosh, I 6, 7.
wow.
As a horn player, as a sax player, I just, I could jump from one gig to the next gig to the next gig, or play 2 gigs in a night, or be in 5 bands, which I was. I did Citizen X.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, yeah, I did Citizen X as well with Steve Stedham. He was a pro skater. That was one of the shows we played with Young No Doubt at the time at Fenders. In fact, I think that might have been our last gig that I was in the band. Spy Kids ended up having Craig Yarnold from Buck-O-Nine, the other sax player. Um, Scott Russo from Unwritten Law was playing keyboards. Um, I mean, there were a lot of folks that went on to do all kinds of stuff from those bands. Matt Hensley, who's in Flogging Molly, was playing guitar in the band. He plays accordion for Flogging Molly now. Hopefully, I won't get all this wrong or miss a bunch of stuff. um, what was another one? Colorblind, I did, and Colorblind kept going as well. Kevin Manuel from Gangbusters on guitar was also he started Colorblind with me. And Bronco Farwell from Donkey Show was also in Colorblind too, the trombone player. Um, yeah, where do I go from there? There's so much.
Interestingly enough, as you mentioned bands, you were in 5 bands simultaneously. You
Yeah.
know that San Diego has more reggae bands per capita than anywhere else on planet Earth. I read that somewhere.
That's pretty good. Well, I can believe that. I don't think that's a
Yeah, and especially after Big Mountain struck
yes,
gold,
yes.
just about everyone in San Diego literally took up an instrument.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
big
actually
respect to
I
big
remember
respect to San
yeah, Kino
Big
was
Mountain.
Kino and Jerome. I remember the two of them playing with Big Mountain at the Grossmont College when I was going there in 1990. And I was the sort of the I think the lone skinhead who's like, yeah, that is fantastic. I love that reggae. And other people looked at me like, what is this guy about? Because that people don't understand where that whole culture goes from too. So
Right, right, sir. So what venues were the biggest supporters of ska in the greater San Diego area?
Makeda had World Beat Center and still does have the World Beat Center in Balboa Park.
Yeah, we should big up Makeda for her years of
Oh,
service.
years and years. Yeah, she's still doing it too.
Yes, man. Yes, yes.
Again, Iguanas in Tijuana, it felt like a San Diego venue in a sense.
I thought you were rhyming. Is the name of a venue?
What's that? No, Iguanas. It was called
Is the name of a venue?
like the lizard. Oh yeah.
I thought you were rhyming.
Fishbone played Iguanas. Bad Manners played Iguanas. HR Bad Brains played Iguanas. The Toasters played Iguanas. Bim Scala Bim, Bad Manners. It was show after show, incredible, really. And for me as a 17 and 18-year-old kid sneaking down there to play shows. Well, sneaking when I was 17 and then legally going down there at 18 on the trolley. I remember those. It was a different experience completely.
And how often would you play out of town, considering that you were with so many bands?
Oh boy. I would play 2 gigs a weekend, depending. Sometimes more, sometimes weekdays as well. Like a weekday at the Casbah or a weekday at the Belly Up too. I was not old enough to be inside, so up till 21, I had to sit backstage at Belly Up or sit outside the Casbah because there was no backstage outside. It was just outside the Casbah on the street.
And you were too young to get in, right?
Oh yeah, too young from 15 to 21. Yeah, it's on the outside of many bars. Same with Winston's. I was in the alley of Winston's, talking to homeless people.
Yes, sir. So when did you first meet Louis from Steady Beat, Louis Carreras?
Oh gosh. I feel like perhaps 93. I think that might have been right. It was at Blackpool, right around like Blackpool presenting at Hong Kong. He would probably know better than I, to be honest, but I feel like he was just been doing Blackpool and then was moving into Steady Beat at the time. And yeah, was putting on shows. I think we did one of the last shows at the Hong Kong Cafe.
Right. And what kind of work did you do with him? Was that the only work?
Oh yeah, he would just put on shows and would ask our band for Unsteady to come play up there occasionally. And then we got onto the Ska Authentic compilation once we finally got a viable recording in 95, 96.
So what took so long to get recording, considering that you guys were playing so often?
Well, the name Unsteady, Unsteady was kind of because it took 29 people in the band before we even had our first show.
Wow.
We've gone through hundreds of people, I'd say, in the course of 30 years.
Why was the turnover so massive and swift?
Well, horn players come and go, and also I'm a horrible tyrant, and I have.
This is the second time
I know it's terrible. I
you
admit.
said that.
I think going for certain standards and trying to emulate the styles that I wanted to hear, and I could be a cruel taskmaster.
Mhm.
I learned from my high school director that to be early is to be late, to be late, or excuse me, to be early is to be on time is to be late, and to be late is unthinkable. And that is pretty hard for regular musicians to do, to show up on time and get your parts down. So I took the lead also of seeing this, what the Scottlights did or hearing what the Scottlights did and try to be as tight as that. And then seeing Fishbone live and seeing how good the members were and how you must be tight. And then seeing Scottlights live and seeing how tight they were, even as senior citizens, they just wiped the walls with all the other bands playing with them. So you better get your crap together, right? So I would rehearse hard and over again and was pretty unrelenting. And sorry, everybody. Sorry. I still somewhat am, but everybody's, I'm almost the worst member in my current band.
In terms of what? Discipline?
Oh, no, just a skill set. Everybody's so good now. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm,
And your current band?
I like to be the worst player in my own band. It's the best feeling in the world.
And your current band?
Oh
To
yeah,
change subject. What's the name of it?
Smoke and Mirrors sound system.
Mhm. Right. For a moment there, I thought it was sound system when I first heard the word. Yes, sir. So was there as much of a separation in San Diego between a traditional ska and punk and ska punk band as there was in Los Angeles and OC?
I think there was a bit less because it was a small scene and you had to keep, if there's someone else playing something kind of like what you're doing,
Mhm.
then especially early days, say early 90s. Later on, as we got into the days of Soma and World Beat Center, and then Showcase Theater down here that Izat opened up down here, um, it definitely felt a little more fragmented. But that was, I think, as ska and ska punk were getting larger or bigger or more popular.
Mm.
But I think early days, late 80s, early 90s, it's like, hey, you're into kind of the same stuff we're into. Let's do a show. You like the Clash, I like the Clash.
Right.
Let's go ahead and do it.
People were able to unite on the basis of what they have in common.
Yeah, but as you know, there's always a divisiveness within any scene too. So
Mhm. Right.
I'm glossing over it.
So when did Unsteady break up, or did you guys just put a pause?
Well, in essence, it Unsteady continued regardless of what it was. With me and Kevin Hewitt, the organ player. We
Mhm.
always say like between him and I, if it's the two of us and we're there, it's kind of unsteady still. The two of us with a few other people can be unsteady if you want it to be. What would you like to call us? That's what we'll be.
Mhm.
Um, so really, not being able to rehearse during COVID, it got harder and harder for everyone to be able to get together. We tried doing things remotely. We tried doing things where we would be all spread out, or I'd be in a separate room with the mixing board and headphones, but playing along with everyone. That was through July of 2020.
Mhm. How challenging was that, sir?
It never goes away.
Must have been a challenge, yeah?
It was. I know that it was disheartening to a few of the folks, and a few of the people in the band moved out of the state just because of the way, what COVID does for people's careers and financial situations and how it affects people's psyches. A few people just said, I can't do it anymore, or I've run out of time, or I have teachers in the band at the time, and the teachers had to start doing the Zoom meetings with their students. And
Mhm.
teachers normally have a tough job at 50, 60 hours a week. then it turns into 70 or 80 hours a week trying to do Zoom meetings, teaching kids. So didn't have the time for it, which I understand.
How did it affect you? You talk about others who have moved out. How have you survived? How are you surviving?
For me, it got me down a bit. I have a production company. So the production company shut down basically during that time. The only rentals that I did have were strange. I'm thankful for it. There were church rentals because churches couldn't gather on Sundays inside anymore. They had to gather outside. So I have staging and truss and sound systems. So I'd rent a few churches, the entire PA system, lights, truss, shade roof, and staging for them to do a Sunday meeting. And for that, I would be like, okay, I'll rent you an entire system for a month at a time until you're back indoors. So that helped me through. The other thing was people would have weddings, but they couldn't have them indoors anymore. So they could have it out at the beach or they could have it in a park. So I'd rent them a mixer, a couple of mics, two speakers, and a generator so they could have that. And then the last thing, which it kind of surprised me, and I haven't had this many ever in my career with this job, is memorial services. People would pass and we couldn't have a memorial service or a
Yeah,
funeral.
right.
So again, same thing, speakers and a generator out by the water, by the beach to scatter ashes or to remember people. I had more memorial services in the last 2 years than I had in the 18 years before that.
Wow.
It's pretty profound, really.
Right. So how are you doing now mentally and spiritually?
I'm getting through it. I actually wrote a song called "Getting Through It."
Don't worry about the tonal quality. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Well,
Can you sing a line or two?
Well, the chorus is with my wife. I can see the road before me ain't easy to take, but I know the path that I chose was not a mistake. So something like that for the chorus.
Nice. So it's registered, right? So we can steal.
Oh, go ahead, please. We all die with nothing. So put the music out there.
No, we die with things just so we can take them with us.
Yeah, you can't take it with you.
So I'm the exception. I'm taking you like the ancient Egyptians, they took everything.
Yeah, well,
I'm taking my records. You can.
Oh, share. You've got to share.
Yeah, I'm taking my records. If I don't have them in heaven, you're kidding me.
Oh, hopefully you'll have something like that in heaven.
My ska, my rocksteady, and early reggae. No, they're coming.
I've got all the things in my brain, so hopefully
they're coming. So tell us about your work with Dave Wakelin, born and raised in England, now lives comfortably in America. Is he in Los Angeles somewhere?
Yeah.
You did work with him, right? I think he's a founder of English Beat.
Yeah, 97 through 2002.
That's a long time, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went out with him.
First, can you tell us about Dave Wenklin, who is, for the record, and then your work with him?
Sure.
Give him a proper introduction.
He was a co-lead vocalist, I would say.
I think wasn't he a founding member as well?
Yes, of the Beat, which we call in the U.S. the English Beat, with Ranking Roger and Andy Cox, David Steele, the Mighty Saxa, Everett Morton. Yeah, he was definitely one of the two voices that I always thought of when I was thinking about two-tone.
Who's the other one?
I actually had so as a kid, as a young teenager, I did the thing that kids sometimes do, and that is get a stick and write in the wet cement, and then it dries.
Yeah.
So I wrote John Roy, English Beat, and I put a saxophone, and I think I put the year, which is 1983. And I think the beat broke up soon thereafter. So hopefully I didn't curse it, but I wanted to be, I wanted to be in that band. I wanted to emulate Saxa as much as possible. That was the tone. So obviously I was prepared when Dave said, "Would you come down and bro some Brostlines of music?"
How did you meet him actually?
I was recording for Ska Parade. They were doing compilation.
Hmm.
Um, I'd already done the first Ska Parade compilation, and they were doing the second one. And I had done some studio work with Greg Lee for a little project they were calling Boito Vision for that CD. And Greg Lee, Chris Murray, Zimbabwe, Robert Way, and then me and my sax player, Tom Zimbrano, I think, uh, and Kent Graves, who was also in Unsteady after being in the drummer after being in Donkey Show. We were playing Big Bamboo, and we were playing Reincarnation as well, or Bedbug, excuse me. Um, so I played on those tracks, and Dave came in to play on another track. Oh, I can't remember which one he sang on, but I guess he'd heard the work that I was doing in the studio with them and said, you want to come down and blow some brass lines? And I'm like,
Uh,
yes, sir. Yes, sir, right away.
dream come true
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
without even asking.
Yeah, yeah. Just remember, there's no luck.
Mhm.
There's preparation meeting opportunity.
Like, you mentioned two singers. Dave, who was the second one?
Roger, Ranking Roger.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Rest in peace, brother. He was an incredible. He was a showman beyond showman.
Yes, I've seen some videos of it.
I
Well,
remember opening
right.
for Pato Bantan with Gangbusters and thinking, Pato and Roger, I go talk, and Pato and Roger come again. Like that always went through my head
Mm,
um, every time, and I got to meet him a few times, which was nice.
right.
There was some tension between the two singers, but I did get to play a
Being
show.
Pato and Roger.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But I did get to play a few shows backing them. That was pretty fun.
And on tour or in your hometown.
Just in LA, in
Mm,
Los Angeles, yeah.
right. So before we talk a little bit about Smoking Mirror sound system, please talk about some of the other projects that you've been part of.
Ooh. Um, let's see. Oh, I played for Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark back in 2000, the synth pop band from England, for Paul Humphreys.
Mhm. So
That
you
was
went over there, or they were in the States on tour?
in the States. Paul flew here, and we did all fly dates. That was pretty fun too.
Mhm. Wow. So musicians internationally have known about you. Is it because of your work with Dave Wakelin?
Yes, very much so. And
Eh,
I got to play a couple of shows also with Joey Altruda's like big band. That was fun doing the El Rey. I believe you were there hosting it too. I think is it the one behind you? Or let's
no,
see.
this is Tanamo. So that
Yeah,
was yeah.
there was
Tanamo when your Unsteady performed Mentor Butter. Give them credit. Yeah.
oh, okay, that one. Yeah, there was another one.
Yeah. I think
It
not
was at
sure.
the El Rey Theater. I remember.
Yeah. Was it a fundraiser? We did quite a
Oh,
few
I,
shows
I
there.
don't remember. I just remember that I Timothy from the Untouchables
Uh-huh.
um, called me up to do the gig with Joey's band. Um,
Mhm.
oh gosh, I wish I could remember. Oh, I just remember that gig was fantastic.
Frankly, I'm not sure you keep up how you keep a track of all the things you've done.
Ah, I should have written something about it. I should have written it
Even
all
if you
down.
did, it's still difficult beyond impossible to remember. I
If
mean,
we had
just
the
being
internet, I
five
would.
times simultaneously.
If we had the internet, I would YouTube it all, so I would know.
Mhm. Right. So let's talk about Smoke and Mirror. That's
Yeah.
the name of your latest band.
Yes, sir.
Mhm. First, I thought it was a record, but yeah. So Unsteady is still around. You still work with them. You formed that originally.
Yeah.
So what's
It's
the idea behind uh, Smoke and Mirror?
so I feel like currently Unsteady is transformative and is juxtaposed with Smoke and Mirrors, because Kevin Hewitt is also in the band from Unsteady, and um, Doug Schaefer, the trumpet player from Unsteady, is also in Smoke and Mirrors, and Brian Jordan, who is recorded on three or four of the tunes on the new Unsteady album, playing guitar from B-side players and Daddy Longlegs back in the day, and Lauryn Hill. He's the guitar player for Smoke and Mirrors, and then Jeffrey Govan from Mobtown is the bass player, also from Freaktones, is the bass player for Smoke and Mirrors. So it's sort of like the whole family of people is all still doing this thing live. Also, Drago, Scott Kissinger on trombone from Warsaw, is playing trombone for Smoke and Mirrors. And let's see who else. It's kind of it's keeping it's getting new material, playing material that we all have loved and grown up with, and then playing the Unsteady material that I feel works for that live band. So it's kind of like Unsteady plus in the live
Right.
situation. Yeah.
So I'm about to introduce our producer, Eric. But before I do, I read, I was doing some research, preparation for tonight, and where one of Unsteady songs, one song has been, or has made its way on 29 compilation.
Bad Attitude?
Is there any truth to that?
Oh, was it Bad Attitude?
No, I'm not sure which one, but 29 different compilations.
Well, I wrote Bad Attitude.
You should know, because the royalty check is coming your way. 29 different compilations.
Gosh, somebody tell them my address so that I can get that check, because I haven't seen it yet.
29 different compilations. Man, that sounds like a John Youtubod, or the Ethiopians Trained to Scavenge, the Pioneers Long Shot.
Yeah, I think it was probably Bad Attitude.
Well, congratulations, man.
I wrote Bad Attitude at 17.
You wrote that.
Gangbusters.
Wow.
And then continued to play it for Unsteady, and then I've recorded it with 3 different bands. But yeah, it's just a song I've always enjoyed, and
that's a major accomplishment,
that two-tone feel, I've always just loved two-tone so much.
So did you register the song in your name?
I don't think I did.
Huh?
I don't think I did.
So then who's collecting the checks? I mean, 29 compilations.
I would love to know. I'm like a Jamaican in that sense. I have never gotten a penny from it. Ouch! I'm sorry. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I can't even laugh, because there's so many musicians I know who not collecting a cent. You know what I mean?
That's the story.
And when rainfall, they get wet up in Kingston, and royalty check coming.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, their songs are on hundreds of compilation.
Yep.
Yeah. That's another.
But I'm glad to get it heard by anybody. That's
Yes, man. 29. That's a feat. That's a accomplishment that we should be proud of. But let me welcome our producer and good friend Eric Kohler. He has a few more questions.
Hold on, I'm registering Bad Attitude.
You should.
Yes.
John, what's happening? Good to see you.
You as well.
As
moving to where I can see you. I see your show. Oh, there he is.
There I am. As you two were talking, I was thinking back. Maybe we must have met at one of the Steady Beat shows back in the day.
We had to, yeah.
Definitely saw Unsteady a few times for Lewis and Steady Beat. And then I also have a Scott Thintek compilation. So that's probably also one of the early times that I heard your music. And then I'm glad you mentioned Boydo Vision, because on Tazy's Ska Parade compilation, those 2 songs on there, just between the musicianship and Greg's voice, just love it. 2 of my favorites, and I was always hoping that there would be more to that project.
Me too, yeah.
But I'm happy that I have at least those 2. But I have a few follow-up questions and a few separate questions. First of all, OMD, huge 80s fan of new wave. Yeah. I saw the big Depeche Mode OMD show at the Rose Bowl in '88.
Wow.
And OMD was, they were one of my favorites back then. But so that must have been pretty amazing. Were you a fan of some of the new wave and new romantic in the '80s?
Yes, in that I was a fan of John Hughes films.
Okay, sure.
You know, I really like soundtracks for films, and I'm always fascinated by how the soundtracks are curated. Someday I hope that somebody puts a bunch of my songs in soundtracks of different films. I feel like that would be the way to go, you know, like
Yeah,
on Netflix.
right,
But
right.
I think I gained a lot of my musical education through soundtracks for films, to be honest.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know,
Interesting.
that's good.
seeing okay, favorite soundtrack for a film curated by Joe Strummer, Gross Point Blank. Check it out.
Okay,
Check
yeah.
it out, because again, it has, I believe it has Ghost Town on it. I think it might have Armageddon Time on it. It's
Wow,
Joe, you know, Joe Strummer had great taste,
of course.
and that soundtrack is a killer.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Um, Walker is a great soundtrack by him where he plays. There's some great Latin
Yes.
influence. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Different than what you're talking about, but right. So then that's how you discovered OMD. Obviously, not through Strummer, but obviously through some soundtracks. I mean, If You Leave was huge, right?
Yeah,
For
huge. Yeah.
Pretty in Pink.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club,
yeah,
all those 80s, you know, because with my sister being 7 years older than me, she would drag me along to the films too.
yeah.
So
Well,
I got educated with that as well.
right, right. Well, that must have been fun playing with him. How long did that go on for?
Just about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. At that time, it was in between doing English Beat, general public shows,
Okay.
and then all the money that I'd make off of all that, I would spend on Unsteady to go on tours and lose money. It's true. It's true.
Okay. That's
If I
good.
do a month with these guys, then I can do, you know,
Right.
2 weeks with these guys.
So going back to Unsteady,
Mhm.
how do you feel Unsteady was accepted when you would come up to LA and Orange County or Lynn Empire, anywhere outside of San Diego?
My perception was that we were like the weather in South Dakota, you know, just wait 2 minutes, it'll change. Uh,
You could fall back on comedy, right? If your music career doesn't work.
it seriously really depended on what show we were billed on, you know.
Right.
If we'd be playing with a meal ticket, a fishbone, a skeletones, something that had all the different things, a melting pot of different
Yeah.
sounds, then usually those people were very much accepting of the different things that I was trying to do at the same time.
Versus if it was more traditional and authentic, old school sounding, it was a little more difficult.
Well, then folks would really dig 4 or 5 of the tunes that I was playing.
Yeah.
Either that or I'd have to tailor our 12 to 14 song set to match the show.
Got it. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, to remain authentic, because we still, you know, we had at the time even 36 to 40 songs. So it's like, okay, let's play the 12 songs that will work for
Right.
this Epcat show. It makes the most sense. You know, oh, we're playing with Ocean 11. We should definitely go this route. There's
Right.
no point in like hitting a distortion pedal. You can put that away for the day.
Yeah.
I love it all, to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
But
No,
but
that,
also, I
that,
also
that
get
does
it.
make sense. That does.
If you're within a vein, you know, think of it like food. You know, if you're trying to go for, you know, American food, you can go the buffet, or
Yeah.
you can do what's supposed to be on the bill, what's supposed to be on the menu.
Mhm.
But it seemed to me that's the only thing that makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion.
Right. Right. And
I'm
you-
not sure if I'm playing for a lot of Rastas. If I could play Prince Buster and Derek Morgan, maybe I could. But damn.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean,
Read
know
the
your
room,
audience.
right? Read the
Right.
room. Definitely read the room.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Definitely read
yeah.
the
Like a DJ could read the room and go, nope, not this. Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah. Yeah. So I loved your story about the name Unsteady. Now that how apropos that was. And is that the reason why also? Because I think you had 3 studio albums. Is that correct? Is that why
We had 2, and then, well, now we have the third. That's the
Yeah.
third time to
Right.
song.
Right. Right.
Actually, we had a third one that was going to be live in the studio, and I thought about re-releasing it or trying to release it once we got the rights back to it. It was a live in the studio album, and I wanted to call it Three Time Losers. But instead, we did this new album and called it Third Time's the Charm. See, I'm getting more positive in my old age. I've got more optimism.
Right, but being around since 92,
Two.
93, right?
Yeah.
Is the reason that you've not released more recorded music under Unsteady because of the same reason, so many different band members, or because you always keep busy, you always have a lot of different projects, whether it's your own or playing with others? Is it just by nature of so much going on?
You like the story? Here's the story. So we released the first album with one record label. We released the second album with Asian Man Records, Mike Park from Skank and Pickle, he's a dynamo. He's fantastic. He just keeps cranking it out. He's a hard worker. He's incredible. Right. And he was very fair, very kind to us. But we recorded the third album, which was going to be live in the studio because we had just come off of being on tour and we were tight as a band. And we would just, we'll knock this whole thing out live. But we'd also played some of the tunes from the first album. So that record company gave us a cease and desist, and you can't put out this album.
Wow.
5 years. So between that and then my father passing away while we were on tour on the East Coast in 1999, it was like, wow, so we can't put out this album we worked on. We're trying to survive on the road, and
it's a lot. There's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and is my mom going to lose the house if I don't go and play these gigs that pay?
Yeah, of course.
So, lots of those things at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. Well,
so there's the story, and then once it was free to put out again, like by that time I started with Self-Made Men. I tried to ban the Geezers for one show. We're like, the Geezers, that sounds a good name. It didn't work out for that after the one show, so I did Windsor Hill Steppers, which we went and did Blue Beat a bunch of times.
Yeah, I saw you at least once up there.
Yeah,
right.
And then did Self-Made Men after that, and then came back to doing Unsteady again. And all right, fine, let's get to recording. But in the meantime, folks get married, folks have kids grow up.
Life happens. Life happens.
But I still sorry to rudely interrupt, but I thought you could always play over your song live, and record label cannot stop you from playing the same song live.
True that. Yeah.
But you were talking about releasing a live.
We still play this live.
You can record it and release it live. Can they stop you?
That was, I'm not sure. Like I think we signed.
I thought you could always play over your song.
Shall we just say we signed a bad deal? Right? Yeah. When they say universal and forever and lifelong and blah 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 and can't do this for 5 years, then that puts a big damper on us doing it. And were we going to? I don't have the money for a lawyer. I'm not rich. I wasn't rich then. So it was like, okay, fine. That's it. That's how it'll be. I still have those masters in a drawer right in front of me. So it might be fun to put that out on vinyl.
Yeah.
I think that could be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Or at least just release it to the world. Here you go. Have
there
fun.
We go. Listen. So you mentioned Gangbusters, and
yes.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
Bad Manners.
Laurel.
Apparently Laurel Aiken did not make it to this show.
He didn't make it to the show. Yeah.
Right.
It was unfortunate.
So this was the time period where you played in Gangbusters?
Yes. Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that group as far as their style.
I felt like we wouldn't have called it third wave because we didn't know what the heck anyone was talking about. Third wave.
Before people called it third wave.
Yeah, I feel like we were all very much influenced by two-tone because that's what we grew up in. And I felt like we were trying to do the two-tone thing as well as trying to pay some respects to the foundation. But at the same time, we're young and we wanted to, we had so much energy, we just start playing faster and faster. It reminds me of two-tone, like,
Yeah.
well, you got this teenage energy and you just got to
Right.
bring it up faster and faster and
A
faster.
little bit reminiscent of like the Toasters.
Yeah, I mean, we played opening for the Toasters, so we were playing at the same time as
Right.
them, doing a country called Unsteady, actually. I remember that
Right.
too,
Right. Yeah.
with Toasters and also Bad Manners and New York Citizens and Bim Scala Bim and Crucial DVC. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was a big
I
one.
remember those shows. Those are, again, Country Club in Reseda was, after Fender's closed in Long Beach, that to me, that was like the biggest place to have a show.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there was Whiskey, Roxy, Troubadour, and those were fantastic. But I felt like Country Club had its own thing. It was a very big room, and
Yeah. It had.
you
It
could
had
see the
big-
whole floor move with people. It was amazing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some legendary shows there.
Yeah.
I think going back to the Big Express
Yeah.
group that you were in, that was the first group. That was more mod.
Yeah.
Were there were those scenes, and I know it was a smaller scene down there in San Diego, but did the mod and the ska scene coexist, and was there a lot of crossover back then?
I think so, and I mean, obviously, you'd expect that mods and mods, rude boys, and skinheads would not necessarily get along all that well. So there were definitely clashes, we'll say. But scooters, think of it that way too. Scooters were the uniting
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see someone else riding a scooter and in smart dress, you're like, oh, we should be friends, shouldn't we? and to see, for me, to see like 50 scooters show up in front of your show, it felt fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. And I still love it to this day. Anytime I'll see more than 3 scooters show
Right.
up in one
Right.
place, I'm like, yeah, it's a show.
Yeah. That's a great point. That would be something that would be.
Yeah, the scooter scene
Yeah.
kind of, that was, to me, that was part of a big part of the music scene. It was,
Sure.
it was arms and legs, it was part of, you have to have it.
Yeah. And a lot of scooter rallies go into Defenders and
Yes.
Reseda Country Club too.
That was the first show that I did with, that's the smell I remember. The smell of slightly stale beer, sweat, and 2-stroke oil. and that feels like home. It's fantastic.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Let's talk about another band from San Diego who I believe has remained active for a number of years, Buck-09.
Yes.
How important is Buck-09 to San Diego and beyond San Diego, but obviously specific to that county and area?
I think it was a very San Diego phenomena in that sense. Yeah, all the guys, they put in so much work to make it happen and put in so much energy, and you can't help but like fully respect that. Like they were the example. They signed with the record label before we signed with the old record label. So we're like, oh, okay, so you signed with them, you went to that studio. That's what we should be doing.
Wow.
Unsteady. Okay. And like, oh, you're making merchandise like this. Again, that's an example. So whatever anyone said about them, like they're not ska enough, they're not traditional enough. Like, well, they're not trying to do that. They're trying to do their own thing. You got to respect that. And that they would go out and, live in a van. Like, okay, there's the example. Let's go hurt ourselves too.
Yeah. Road warriors for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they really were, and still are, and I believe John's health is improved. I know John.
Yeah, I hope so. I want to see them do their thing live.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen them since then. I've only said hi and said, hey, are you, hope you're doing good.
Right.
But yeah, just checking with the guys.
Yeah.
I want to see them on stage. I want to open for you guys again.
Right. Exactly. So let's talk about the Smoke and Mirror sound system. So you have some incredible musicians. You talked about a few of them with Junor and some Jeff Govan. I know he's down there now in San Diego, but obviously huge huge guy on the scene here in LA. How do you, two-part question, how do you go about choosing the pool of musicians and singers? And then follow up to that is, you've also done such an incredible job at both originals, but also covers. And I mean, just to name a few that are my personal favorites, but Mad World, is spot on. Such an amazing rendition. I'm a Man that Jesse Wagner sang on. The Mi Vida Sin Tu Amor.
Yeah, Laurel. Yeah.
Laurel also, but so take those in. So how do you go about choosing what songs to cover as well? So it's kind of two-part: one, musicians, and the second, songs.
Well, since also it's the stuff that I grew up with and always loved. I'm a Man. I played in Big Express, so for me, it's this is going back to being 15 years old. This is all music that I've loved since I was 8, 9, 10 years old. I've always loved old soul music. And again, it goes back to Furman Whiteside, my band director, playing all of these songs after school before we had band rehearsals.
Wow.
In middle school, because he would hip us to the funky stuff and the soul stuff.
That's great.
My dad had old reel-to-reels of Command Records stuff and old musicals as well as classical stuff. But he had the stuff that, in the 90s they were calling it Ultra Lounge. So that's why like Unsteady played the Cy Zentner version of Charade as a ska tune. Because my dad had that on a reel-to-reel.
Wow.
So Mad World to me was just a fantastic tune. One of the first things I saw on MTV that was amazing to me. Like, I didn't see the stuff first, I heard it first, and this is amazing. So thinking, can I give other people, 13-year-old me, what would 13-year-old me want to hear?
Right.
So 50-year-old me wants to give 13-year-old version of somebody like me or anybody else that same feeling, that feeling of I get goosebumps when I hear this music. I hope to give someone else the same feeling. It's the spirit that you try to emulate, you try to put it out there, serve the song, let the song.
Yep.
I know I'm sounding, hippie or weird or
No.
But
I love that, and I think whether
it's a spiritual thing,
whether it's the listener's first time hearing it or not. I mean, they've never heard the original, right?
Yeah.
It resonates. Yeah. Who is the singer on Mad World?
Tori Rose, Victoria Rosen. So here's a good one for you. Tori was a fan of Unsteady when she was a teen. She was a trumpet player in a band called Carne Ascada. Yes, that's right. Carne Ascada. Oh, what a ska name for San Diego, right?
That is a great name.
But yeah, she's developed her own trumpet playing and singing style with Tori Rose and a Hot Mess.
She's amazing. She's an amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually, we did a live show together in August.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm hoping she worries, rightfully so, because of her family and age of the family and people's immunocompromised positions. She doesn't want to play indoors. She's, I think, doing her first indoor show with her band in 2 years in the next few weeks at Music Box.
Okay.
But we did outdoor show, and I'm hoping that I can get her to come sing with us for some outdoor gigs too.
Yeah.
I've got Mariela Contreras singing for us now and Natalia Hill, but I think it would be really cool to have Tori come and sing, especially like on Mad World would be really fun.
Yeah. And then who are the other core members of Smoke and Mirrors?
So again, it's like Unsteady. Me and Kevin, Doug's on almost everything. Brian Jordan on guitar. Jeffrey for the live stuff, because a lot of the bass playing was done by Brent Ford from Unsteady.
Okay.
and Victor Rice, but he lives in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Right,
So
right.
it's
It's
like
a little tough to do the live show.
Steve Capecci in New York as well.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
what's the other? Brett Calder is also in upstate New York too, on bass.
Okay. Yeah. And is the plan, and I know you have a show coming up in August, but is the plan, do you want to do more regular gigs with
Yeah, we're actually going to be playing at Winston's in Ocean Beach on the 27th
Oh, nice. Coming up.
for Sand Dollar Sound. Yeah, it's funny. We got nominated for Best New Artist. We didn't win. We didn't win. But like that is hilarious because between the people that are
Congratulations, by
in
the
the
way.
group, there's more than 200 years experience.
Right.
Congratulations.
And I'm like, man, you know what? I should just change the name every 2 years, and we'll be nominated for Best New Artist, Best Old New Artist, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So how many recordings? Because I know you have a plethora.
Yeah.
How many songs for Smoke and Mirror Sound System exist that are out?
They're out. Well, I don't know if I can say a few of them because they're literally at the presses. I mean, they could be out tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Really
Okay.
kind of depending on how. I mean, geez, COVID has done a number.
Yeah. Well, you've gotten really creative.
I tried to be.
And genius, I believe, in working with various record labels, right, and distributors to get this out worldwide.
Yes.
But to talk about that.
So not to be blasphemous, I'm not saying this to be blasphemous, but pray to every god until one answers. You know, ask every single record company, like, hey, would you like to put out a song? And hopefully you get a yes out of a few. And I've given a few folks exclusive rights to do specific songs. The other, which I make a joke of, is that, well, you know, I've been screwed around by record companies. Why not get screwed around by every record company? I love you guys. I don't mean that. I don't mean that. But yeah, there's some stuff. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but two of my favorite people from one of my favorite bands are going to be on 2 A sides for a for a record.
Wow.
Because there is no one is better than the other one. We'll put it that way.
Right.
That's why you have two side.
They are both legends. They are both legends,
all right.
and it's one of my favorite bands that yeah. That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right.
So that's gonna come out on Jump Up Records.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
it should have come out, obviously, but it should have been out probably a week or two ago.
Okay.
But it's coming out very soon, as soon as the press gets it in our hot hands.
Okay. That's I was
And
coincidentally just talking to Chuck yesterday, but that's great.
yes, and the guy who played on it and also mixed it and did dubs of each tune is Roger Rivas.
Excellent. Love
And,
Roger.
so it's going to be good. It's coming out. It's going to be an EP on Jump Up Records, and
Nice.
Chuck's. It's in there. It's ready. We're going. It's done.
All right. Yes.
Been waiting for it. I wish I could tell you now what it is. Anyway, so yeah, there's that.
Yeah. And then you also did something with Lewis, right? Steady Beat.
Yeah, Luis at Steady Beat. I got Dia de mi Suerte, which is again one of my favorite, incredible Hector Lavoe, Willie Colon tunes.
Okay, I'll have to check that one
But
out.
I wanted to take the I wanted to take the like the Puerto Rican or Nueva Rican sound, and then put the Tijuana LA spin on it
Wow.
with
Okay.
the Rocksteady.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like they're so close. They're all it's like cousins or half brothers.
Yeah.
You know, it all sounds great to me. You know, I grew up in San Diego, and I went to Tijuana and LA all the time, and that's where I find this spot right in between those things that makes perfect sense, and they all fit.
Absolutely does.
You know, if you think about these things between 92 and 98 beats per minute, and you put them together, they just feel good together.
Right.
It's all the flavors work just so well.
100%. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
So yeah, Dia de mi Suerte, and then Nadie te lo hizo is actually Nobody Did It to You from my first album, but my friend Ivan Garcon, who was in a band called Citizen X with me back in 1989 and 90, and he sang Postales, which was postcards from the second album, Spanish. So we kind of revisited the Unsteady second album with Ivan. We've been friends for years. He plays in the Devastators as well. He's fantastic bass player, fantastic singer. So he translated that tune with me and sang it. And hopefully I'll have more stuff with him too. He lives in San Francisco now.
Okay. Nice.
So he's on the other side of that one.
Yeah. Okay. And then fans can find some of your music also on some of the streaming services, right?
Yeah. We're on Spotify, I believe, and also lots of stuff on Bandcamp.
Right.
We also just put out that tune on the Stubborn Volume 1, 30 years of Stubborn Records.
Oh, right. Yes.
We did Victor Rice Twins. The story on that is I ran into Stubborn All-Stars on tour with Unsteady in Columbus, Ohio, and we traded CDs with each other like all the bands did. You know, we don't have money, you don't have money, but we can trade you CDs and we can sell some of yours, you can sell some of ours. You know, there was an internet, but it wasn't much of an internet.
Sure.
So that was kind of the way to make friends and also like spread the word about, you know, the band.
Right.
But he traded me Victor Rice, I think it was like Victor Rice at Version City, but it had Twins on it. And that was the song that I played in the van ad nauseum. I love that song so much. And when I got a chance he's like, do you want to do a song for this 30th anniversary? I'm like, I know the song I want to play. And so the live band did that one. And I engineered that. Wow. I didn't play on it, which is funny.
Yeah.
You know, but again, everything is to serve the song when I'm engineering or producing it. So I'm glad to have engineered it, edited it, and have it be smoke and mirrors and not having played on it because you don't need the sax in it. You don't need the song.
But do you play on the majority of the songs for Smoke and Mirrors?
Yeah, actually, so the way I created this stuff, since I was stuck here by myself and the shop was closed, I did all the songs with MIDI instruments, and I played all the saxes for the horn section, and then I sang all the vocals and played all of the percussion on them. Wow. And then played all the, you know, the MIDI keys, which my keyboard playing is terrible. I'm awful. I'm good with one hand for 4 bars at a time, but if I give me 16 hours, I can make it a passable keyboard.
Right. But like scratch tracks. So
I would send all the scratch tracks, and then I would send all, you know, the tune minus the scratch tracks, or for a drummer, send the tune with all the scratch tracks but no drums and with a click track. And then you know, Emilio
everyone had to do it. Not everyone, but I mean, but a lot of it was done remotely.
Yeah. So like Emilio Martinez would play drums on the tune with the click and the scratch tracks that I'd laid down.
Right.
And then I would send that across to Victor Rice, or I'd send it to him with just the click, and he would play the bass part on it, and I'd send it to Brent Ford. He'd play the bass part on it, and just start building it more and more organically. And I sang all the vocals on everything, but I was like, I don't want to hear myself. I want to hear the old fat white guy. No, I don't want to see the old fat white guy either. I want to hear somebody that can do what I want to hear the way I wanted to hear it. Like, I knew that I wanted Jesse for I'm a Man. I'm like, please do this, man. Please do this.
He nails it. Yeah.
And he nailed it.
So what year was Smoke and Mirrors born? The idea?
Basically doing the recording end of it when it wasn't necessarily a thing was summer of 2020. And then some things happened with one of the people who was playing on it where I had to, I just erased his tracks,
right.
Which I'm not going to go into because, it's not a good thing.
Okay.
But other people stepped up into the tracks and we re-recorded it. And so I had an album finished in October of 2020. But then it's like, all right, we'll start again. I actually called up Roger Rivas in on Christmas Eve, I believe, and then the day after Christmas of 2020, said, "Hey man, I still want to do this thing. What do you think?" And he gave me so much good advice and steered me in the direction of some more people.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
he actually steered me in the direction of Blake Coley
Oh yes.
to do some drumming, and then Roger said he'd play on these tunes for me too. And that, thank you. All I can say is
Right,
thank
right, right.
you.
Yeah.
Because smart man and generous dude.
Yeah.
And he steered me in the direction and said,
connect with,
hey, I play this stuff and these guys heard it and they're down to play on it. Secondarily, too, I got hold of Corey Kingston Horn
yes.
and said, hey man, I'm in need of your skills. Can you do this? And he's like, all day, let's do this. And I'll knock out 3 songs
Sounds just like
right now. That's Corey, right? It's
Yeah.
like Corey is like straight to the point. Let's do this thing. I'm going to do it right now. See you in a day. Done.
right.
Sends me these tracks. I'm like, oh, this is incredible. And he sent me 2 different versions of every single track.
Wow.
And sometimes 3. And he's like, so here's my straightforward version like you gave me, and then here's me doing my thing, and then here's me getting wild, and you can use whatever you want from it. And that's what I did.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. This is Corey now of Go Go Bordella.
He's doing Go-Go Bordella. Yeah. So story on Corey in Unsteady. Here's how karma works for you, and also be good to everyone around you for your entire life, because it will come back to hurt you or help you, right? He remembered us with Unsteady playing at him and his ex-wife's birthday party.
Wow.
So his ex-wife's birthday party in his backyard in Lake Elsinore.
Okay.
And so Unsteady played there, and I think we played for, I don't know, $200 and brought a PA system or something like that. But he remembered us and said, "Man, I got you."
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. And had
so
a bad experience.
Don't be a jerk to people early on, and people will remember you. And he's doing his thing. And, again, same with Tori for Carne Ascada. She remembered us, and she's always been really cool and had no problem just jumping in and singing this tune.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's how it is with everybody. Same for Django with Jeff. Jeff, I asked him and he was like, "Yeah, I'll knock out a track." And he did it, and he's knocked out another couple tracks, and he's
Wow.
it's a dream come true. Like
Yeah.
I remember listening to Back with the New Batch as well all the time on CD on my Walkman or Discman when we were driving across the country on tour in the van. And I'm like, I want to hear that. I want to hear
Right.
get myself into action because I'm so tired of struggling. I'm like, oh, I want to hear that voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And boom, I got him. And don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to
That's
ask.
the other thing with this genre, this musical genre, is I feel like we are a brother and sisterhood. We're a family, and I don't know what other genre everybody would just go ahead and say, yeah, I'll do it.
Right.
Like I sure would. I wish I had that trombone sound that I heard on Easy Star. I love that trombone. And I wish I could hear the guy from the Scofflaws. Oh, well, it's the same guy, and it's Buford, and he's down to do it.
Right.
And he just knocks out a track. I put it right onto there. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And then he plays more stuff. I'm like, that is the best solo. That is my living Rico. That is Rico for me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good old Buford.
This is what you wanted to hear. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, kudos to you and everyone involved. I mean, it's top quality. I think it's unique and fresh, and you're definitely making some waves. And I've heard nothing but positive things about the project and big success there. Let's move on to I have another question. Just going back to Lewis from Steady Beat, the documentary film, the CAD and the team is involved with. What does it mean to you to be part of that film?
I'm thankful to be asked, and I'm glad of the company that I'm in. All of the people that we played shows with back then, I love you all. I'm glad of those of you who are here. I miss those of you who are gone. And fond memories for all of us. We had I believe we really did have a scene. And I don't mean that in a like cliquish way necessarily. I feel like the musicians were doing their best to give props to the originators and to create our own stuff. And just having that connection is a fantastic thing. Honestly, that Ska Authentic CD
Right.
was like that encapsulated to me what we were trying to get to, and Lewis caught it. You know, he caught that spark, that magic, and put it out on a disc.
Yeah, he really, really did. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And yeah, we're excited for our upcoming interviews, and I think it's really important for people to see what the greater LA, more traditional type scene was like, and then some key bands like yourself or Debonaires or Mental Brew, some of the bands from outside of LA that came to the city. And
Yeah.
how they
I never would have had the chance to see Mento Buru and Matt Munoz doing his thing
yeah
if Lewis hadn't booked us at
Right.
Tarasa Hamai together.
right
And
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and again, Matt is my homie. He's so
yeah great
cool.
guy.
That band is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and a fun live band too.
Yeah, like, and being able to see bands you wouldn't have had the chance to unless Lewis had put freaking 15 bands on 2 different rooms at the same time. We all
Right.
got paid $2 or whatever it was, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the point.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Same room. You can do shows with only 3 bands, and then those are the other 2 bands you're going to see.
Right.
Getting in a festival type situation with this style of music, that wasn't happening. As far as, at least not on the West Coast, as far as I could see.
Yeah, no, great
There
point.
was no Warped Tour,
Nowhere for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to when you and Junior were talking earlier, John, I do think that this was the show.
Yes.
Timothy,
Yes.
because I believe Ken Lazarus made an appearance.
Lazarus. Yeah, we rehearsed with Ken. Yeah.
Yes, go on.
I remember. Oh my God.
November of 2000.
Yeah.
His band wasn't listed.
Yeah. I was playing.
John played with Joey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one.
Fantastic. I remember Ken rehearsing with us and going, "Man, that guy is ripped." He was living right. I'm like, I should live like this guy, man. And I just remember the length of his dreads was highly impressive.
Yeah.
He could go out there bare chested though, like, yeah.
Very nice guy, man.
Oh, he's
very
sweet
social.
too, and could sing so beautifully.
Yeah. That was.
I felt like honored to be within that whole group of people.
Yeah.
It was pretty fantastic.
It was definitely a nice and fun night. Yeah, that was a Reggae Nucleus Magazine's 6th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, Ska.
Reggae Nucleus. I would always try and find it wherever it came from. You know what I mean? Like, where's Reggae Nucleus? Do they have it over at Loose Records in Encinitas?
Those notebooks.
Hopefully.
Sorry, we're gonna do a quick show and tell.
Plug it.
Please?
Yeah. So I just put these together real quick.
Nice.
Sorry, Junior, I don't want to. The very first Reggae Nucleus.
Oh, that's awesome.
and all the these are the early ones here.
Black and white.
These are the black and white ones.
Yeah.
Or Living Legends. Those were always some of our favorites.
I
Yeah.
always wanted to see it. Whenever it came around, I tried to hold on to the copies.
I'm gonna find some back issues and I'll send you some, John.
Nice.
Yeah. So as we near the end here, your contributions to the music that we love so much is just so vast, and I want to thank you for that. What have not that we can touch on every single thing in your career, but what have we not?
No, we got 3 more hours.
Well, what have we not talked about that you do want to make sure listeners, whether they know?
First off, on Ska Authentic, speaking of Steady Beat, favorite song and still my favorite song, is the one from the Brewer Jazz Ensemble. That's the one.
Incredible.
Not to disparage tunes that I am playing or anybody else on that album, but they call me Mr. Nib, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean Joey's the music.
I mean, geez, oh my God.
I know.
And Lloyd with Joey and was that Rollicky on sax?
Probably.
Yeah, and then of course Boito on keys.
Right.
Oh my God, it just kills me. I could play that on repeat.
Yeah.
I used that for sound checks for years because it was so well recorded.
Yeah,
it's recorded like a jazz record meets a reggae record. It's right up there for me with like Surfin' by
by Wenklin.
Wenklin. Oh yes, I mean Wenklin and Monty Alexander. Like I could play that stuff or New York Ska Jazz Ensemble all day.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I have to say. That's the best song on the album.
Well, where can listeners and viewers find you and Smoke and Mirrors and Unsteady?
So far I've gotten all this stuff posted on the website for www.smokeandmirrorssoundsystem.com.
Okay.
My long-term goal, it was a short-term goal, but it just gets further away, was to get every single song on our live set having a video of its own.
Right.
Have every song on every album have a video of its own, because I feel like for me, I could hear audio and get video in my mind. I would always hear whoever was playing a song, I could just see something, a vision of a thing. And so now I want to give a vision of a thing to people. I think that who wants to see the old fat white guy? I don't want to see the old kid. I don't. I want to see a cool video. And I love the creativity of people doing claymation and animation, 2D animation, 3D animation, computer animation. I love it. And to give that feeling of like an album cover or a singles cover come to life, or like a musical flyer coming to life. That's what I want to see when I make music. And so far I've gotten like 14 different videos made, and I want to get like 36 or 50 or who knows.
Yeah.
And the ideas are all in your head.
Yeah. All the concepts, some of the stuff I just pass along too and go, here's my idea for a thing. What do you think? And people surprise me. For like Dia de mi Suerte, Joaquin Hernandez, who's also goes by Cumbia Machine. Check him out. Cumbia Machine, Machin. He does he was a percussionist and drummer for B-side players. I was in B-side players back in 92, 91. So I was one of the original guys in B-side players back in the day. But he got something similar to carpal tunnel syndrome, and it made it very hard for him to play the drums and play congas and timbales. But he learned how to play a specialized MIDI instrument, and reinvented himself as Cumbia Machine. But he also, again, mind-blowing, super talented guy, and he said, "Hey, I'll make you a video of claymation if you'll just buy me the materials." And so I was like, all right, how much? Like a few $100 worth of clay and pipe cleaners. And he took all the pictures. So if you look at Dia de mi Suerte, or Dia de mi Suerte, the video that he made for it, it actually has a claymation Victor Rice, and a claymation Corey Horn playing the drums, and a claymation Andrew Bauer playing guitar, because the band didn't exist, and we're in different states and different countries.
Wow.
So he put all of us together.
So creative.
As claymation playing together.
Yeah.
Like, where can we go view that?
On smokeandmirrorssoundsystem.com. Yeah,
Get a we're done here.
just fantastic.
That's so great.
He also did Vida Sin Tu Amor,
Okay.
the Laurel Aitken tune, with us, the people that played on that recording.
Okay. We'll check those out. Yeah. Wow. Fascinating.
And I'm working on my puppet video too. I've been doing this. It's way longer than I thought it would take. It's more than a year so far. I took pictures of everyone that played on the recording for this one song, which you haven't heard yet. The song is called Under That Rock, and I just thought about all the hatred and xenophobia and anger and violence that has come out in, say, the last 5 years for some reason. People felt like they were empowered to go out and be hateful in public. Like, wow, you all came out from under a rock and you should go back. but we see it now. We see it, so we can do something about it.
Right.
But I was like, I could make an angry song that's negative, or I could make something that swings and something that's happy and make it more like the old boogie, like
yes,
like pre-ska,
right?
Feel like blue beat.
Yeah.
So I did, and then I got guys from the Crombies to play guitars on it and sing backup on it. Curtis from Monkeys singing backup on it. Tori singing backup on it. I'm singing and playing sax. Doug's playing on it. My friend Todd Davidson's playing piano on it. But Kevin's playing organ on it. And my sister made a puppet for each person. She's got a Kevin puppet, a me puppet, David on drums, a puppet of him with like a mohawk. Dave Simon from Deals Gone Bad and the Crombies.
Wow.
The puppet has a tattoo on its face like Dave does. Every single puppet, Tori.
I love this.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I put so much work into it, and my sister put so much work. My niece built she did the backdrop and portraits of the puppets.
Nice.
We have a whole
family
shop right now. Yeah, so I've got one more day of shooting for that video on May 29th, and I hope that I get 10 people in the room to get all the puppets. There's 13 puppets. And I want to get them all to have a bar fight at the end of the movie. And so, nice. So I bought 2 gallons of Caro syrup, 4 pounds of sugar, 2 baking pans, big baking pans, and 2 pounds of cream of tartar, so that we can hopefully make breakaway bottles and breakaway glass to break the windows and break bottles on the puppets.
Oh gosh.
And we have
that's creative.
And we have toy trombones, toy saxophones, toy trumpets, even a specialty toy piano with 1 octave. It's pretty wild. It's gonna be
fun. Have fun and good luck with that.
Yes, I am mad. It's true.
I can't imagine half the things you're saying about this.
You could probably see some of the behind the scenes footage that we got right now too.
Right. Yeah.
It'll only be 3.5 minutes long, but it takes like a year to make.
So right. Yeah. Well, John, hey, thank you again for joining us, and congratulations, and thank you for all your contributions to the scene and the music. And I'm really excited for Smoke and Mirror Sound System and everything you have going on. So all the best to you, buddy.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me babble.
Yeah, it's been great.
Are you kidding me?
And Junior, thank you.
Yes, I think the world is waiting to hear your story and about San Diego and the contributions you've made.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
Much love and respect to both you guys. I really hope I see you in person soon, and I want to be doing some shows up there too.
Yes. I need to get out and see you live. So,
well, please follow us at History of LA Ska on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Facebook group. And please follow me at Junor Francis. This series is produced by my good friend Eric Kohler for Rockery Radio. Thank everyone who takes time to watch, listen, and of course spread the word to their friends.
Yes, and Junior, thank you for all your amazing hosting skills and time and energy and creativity as well that you put into this. So, John, until next time, all the best.
Cheers.
Yes.
Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, and thank you all out there listening. viewing and supporting History of LA Ska. Let's keep the music alive and vibrant. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.